All right, but anyway, Rob, the Rams took a shellacking. All right, it was in San Francisco. You mentioned the 49ers had lost 8 straight there, but they looked great last night. They're finally getting healthy. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, all those guys back and looking good. And it was 31-10 San Francisco. And look, Rob, I didn't buy into the hype about the Rams. All right, you didn't either. But there were people, I mean, we know smart football people. Long-time football people picking the Rams to get to the Super Bowl and win it and Matt Stafford to be the MVP. Now, let me say this. I'm not writing them off. I think they're in that group of 5 contenders in the NFC that's emerged. Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Arizona, Dallas, and the Rams. They're in that pack. I don't think they're the favorite in that pack, but they're in the pack. So to me, they are essentially what I thought they were. I'm not writing them off after a couple of bad losses because then we'd have to write off half of the contenders, if not most of the contenders. Tampa Bay's had bad losses. The Ravens have bad losses. Kansas City, Dallas was down 30-0 to Denver 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago. You know, we could go on and on. Green Bay, obviously the first game of the year. So I'm not writing them off. And so for me, this is, they are what they are. But for those that have picked them to win the Super Bowl and all that, Rob, I had 2 issues. Well, I had mainly 1 issue. And that was, what was Matt Stafford going to be? I believe he's better than Jared Goff. But I didn't buy into the fact that he's the second coming of Joe Montana either. Now that he's got a team around him. Now that he's got a squad around him.
So what are you saying, Chris? Is he a Messiah? Here we go.
Where's the Messiah now?
Okay, go ahead. You said he was the second coming. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Some thought that. I didn't. Look, like I said, he's an upgrade. But how much of an upgrade is the question? And we've had Eric Dickerson and others on the show, Rob. What if they said, Matt Stafford can do it when nothing else is working, right? Oh, Jared Goff needed a running game. He couldn't do it, without the strong running game. Well, it looks like Stafford needs the same thing. And I also, and this, I'm throwing it to you, Rob. One of my big questions about Stafford was that he's obviously played the bulk of his career in Detroit, all of it before he came to the Rams. And outside of the pressure of being the high draft pick that he was early in his career, he hasn't played under a lot of pressure. He hasn't played under the expectations. He hasn't played in a lot of big games. The 3 playoff games he did play in, they lost all of them. He wasn't great. And so now you are under the spotlight. You are under scrutiny every single game. And people were saying you were going to be the MVP. Pressure, expectations. And that only increased when they started 7-1, and he was arguably the front runner for the MVP. And now, Rob, I don't know that it's a coincidence that in his last 2 games, 4 picks, 2 pick sixes.
5 turnovers overall.
Is he cracking under the pressure?
No, you know what? This is the Matt Stafford I've been talking about for a long time. I mean, and all the other people, and I fill in on the local radio station AM 570 here in Los Angeles, and they shout me down every week about the Rams and Stafford, and which is fine. And they thought he was the second coming, and he was the Messiah, and he was going to lead them to the Super Bowl. And oh my, what an upgrade! Oh, they stole Matthew Stafford. This is unbelievable. Wow. Like, look at this guy. He can do everything. I've been watching this guy since his first snap. This is not a I hate Matthew Stafford stance. I've watched him. Chris, I've watched him in big games. I've watched him beat up inferior competition and put up Hall of Fame numbers. I've watched this guy. And I've also watched Matthew Stafford when they play the big boys in the games that matter, like when Arizona showed up. right? You can beat,
Right.
if you want to just claim that they beat the Giants and they beat the Seahawks and they beat the Lions and they beat the Texans, you want to claim all of those, that's fine. And they've had 4 other games, Chris, where they play good competition. And I'm adding the 49ers because it was a divisional game and all
they're
that.
a legit team.
Okay, right. That's what I'm
despite their
right.
record. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw them in there. And all of a sudden, Matthew Stafford's 1-3 in those games. He played well and beat Tampa Bay, Chris. I will take my cap off. I can't say anything about that game. The Titans come to L.A., Chris, without their best player. 2 picks, whatever. Lose that game. Then the same thing, chance to knock off the 49ers and do what they could do in that game. Again, straight the first 2 possessions of the game, 2 turnovers, including a pick 6. I heard a number today, Rob G. Maybe you can find it. He has a lifetime of 29 pick 6s in his career. But anyway, it is a lot, Chris. I think that's what the number is, like 29.
Wow. Find that, Rob G.
This is who Matthew Stafford is. He doesn't perform against the better teams and in the big games.
25.
I've seen
Rob.
him.
25 picks.
Is it 25?
Where's that rank, Rob G? That's got to be high.
I know I heard the numbers in the 20s.
That is tied for 6th all time.
Yeah, I know it's a lot.
That's got to be up there.
And I wonder, Rob G, any of those guys number 1 overall picks, the other 5 guys ahead of them, you know what I mean?
Well, one of them is Peyton Manning, who's at 27.
Wow. Okay.
But he played like longer than I've been alive.
Right.
And Peyton Manning had 5 MVPs?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. But my point is, this is who Matthew Stafford is. And the Rams, for all the people who were sending them to the Super Bowl and Matthew Stafford was going to be your MVP, they're fraudulent to this point. Fraudulent. With a capital F. They're not going to a Super Bowl. Have you watched them be pushed around the last couple of weeks?
Oh,
Chris,
you said it.
They getting pushed around like rag dolls. This is not the number 1 defense of a year ago.
No, it isn't.
It ain't. They're not. The Super Bowl, my butt. The Rams are going to the Super Bowl. And when Matthew Stafford wins a big game in a big spot, call me. Because it doesn't happen that often. All of you guys were wrong. You NFL analysts and former players. Oh, look at the Rams. They're playing like the Lambs. That's who they are right now.
So are you saying they've got no chance, Rob? Are you like, there's no way
they're not going to the Super Bowl is my point, Chris. No. They're not. Because A, they're not physical. B, this ain't no shutdown defense that they had a year ago when they were number 1. And C, Matthew Stafford has disintegrated when the games have mattered most, in the big primetime games. How the hell did they lose to the Titans without Derrick Henry in Los Angeles? That's an indictment.
I'm not going to go as far as to say they got no chance. Like I said, I think they're in that group of 5 contenders in the NFC. Now, I like Tampa better, even though they got beat by the Rams. I like Green Bay better because Rodgers I trust more, even though he's had his struggles in the championship games. I certainly trust him more than Stafford. Dallas, there's question marks. But them and the Rams, Arizona, they're young. Kyler's never done it in the playoff, so
can't stay healthy.
So there's some questions there. Right. So I'm not going to totally write them off, but they're not, again, people that got them as the favorite and all that. And you touched on it, Rob. Stafford's the first thing. The second thing is that defense. And I didn't think I'd see a team featuring Aaron Donald.
Thank you.
Get pushed around like they did yesterday. The San Francisco 49ers had the ball for more than 39 minutes. How does that happen? Their first drive, Rob, it lasted more than 11 minutes. Guess what? That was the first 11-plus minute drive in the NFL since 2018.
Chris, let me give you 2 other numbers. The 49ers hadn't won a home game in a calendar year before last night. That's how bad it was. And you talking about that defense? The 49ers had absolutely no respect for the Rams. They ran the ball, Chris, 70% of the time.
Yep.
And ran on the first down every play, the first down every time except once. So they had no respect for the Rams front seven, and they said, we're running the football, and guess what? There's nothing you can do about it. How's that team going to go to the Super Bowl?
They got punched in the mouth. Absolutely. They got punched in the mouth.